Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Armstrong, and I'm making a series of short videos to introduce my new book, The Power of Neurodiversity: Unleashing the Advantages of Your Neurodivergent Brain. This is a greatly revised and updated second edition of a book that I originally wrote in 2010. The topic for this video is positive careers for the intellectually disabled. In my book, I talk about the importance of positive niche construction, building positive environments for neurodivergent individuals so that they can have their gifts and strengths shine out, and so they can minimize the difficulties they have in the world. So much of what many neurodivergent individuals do is adapt to the world around them or try to adapt. And I think we should reverse the process sometimes and have the world adapt to the neurodivergent person. And so I've identified 8 components of positive niche construction. And I've gone through these 8 in other short videos that I've done, but I want to focus on one in particular: positive career aspirations, and in this case, for those who've been diagnosed with intellectual disabilities. I think it's really important for people, especially with intellectual disabilities, to think about and have help in developing a career. And we can start doing this early in school so that we can help them know their gifts and help them realize that there are careers out there perfectly made for them. The sad reality is that only 19.1% of people with intellectual disabilities are employed in the United States, compared to the employment rate of people without disabilities, which is 61.8%. And a good portion of those individuals with intellectual disabilities who are employed spend their time working in sheltered workshops, which are kind of like, I hate calling them sweatshops, but they're places where people go to do rather menial tasks, such as folding cardboard boxes or doing postage or that kind of thing. The U.S. Labor Department issues 14C certificates to businesses that contract with the federal government so that they don't have to pay the federal minimum wage of, I think it's $7.25. In other words, they can pay dirt cheap for work that they benefit from a great deal. And that doesn't seem right. It seems even insulting to the dignity of people with intellectual disabilities. Some people say, well, if they didn't have sheltered workshops, they wouldn't work at all. Well, that's not entirely true, because we're seeing a surge now in new careers opening up for people with Down syndrome, with Williams syndrome, and other forms of intellectual disability. So I want to, in this presentation, just go through some of the possibilities that are out there in the world of career for these individuals. With with the ecology movement being such a big part of our world now, green jobs have opened up for people with intellectual disabilities. That could be working in gardens, it could be working in nurseries, it could be working in ecology laboratories or out in nature. And this is a really excellent place for people with intellectual difficulties who often thrive in natural environments. The food industry. Because people with intellectual disabilities often have warm and giving personalities, having them be hostesses or receptionists or salespeople in a food market, for example, might be a really good role. Factories or warehouses make a good place for them to work. This individual is in a warehouse involved with loading, manufacturing items, maybe drywall, and there are zillions of other jobs available in warehouses and factories across the United States and elsewhere in the world that can employ people with intellectual disabilities. Customer service is also a really good career. Again, because of the association of people with intellectual disabilities and personal warmth and friendliness, a role in customer service seems to be a good opportunity for them. And I think, as you see here, employers are realizing this and are starting to hire individuals with intellectual disabilities. Postal workers. This gentleman, Jake Pratt, got a job with UPS delivering parcels. So there are all kinds of jobs in UPS and the Postal Service and so forth that offer an opportunity to become fully involved in a function that is extremely important to people. There's been a surge in the number of entrepreneurs, people with intellectual disabilities, maybe Down syndrome, who have tried finding work and alas been turned down, possibly and probably because of the natural bias and prejudice that many employers still have toward people with intellectual disabilities. But we have examples like Ryan Kennedy here from Lincoln, Nebraska, who first built a birdhouse and he sold it. And then he wanted to make other things that would feed birds and rabbits. So he cultivated worms and had 400,000 worms. And now he's building and making microgreen products and selling to nurseries and to gardens and owners of rabbits and birds. The arts is a fertile field for people with intellectual disabilities. The fact is, there are many examples of people, for example, with Down syndrome, who are musicians, who are theater people, who are artists, visual artists, sculptors, and so forth. Lily D. Moore, pictured here, is a professional actress and model who starred in films, television episodes, and national commercials. She gained national attention for her role of Rebecca, the outspoken tell-it-like-it-is sister of Paxton on the Netflix comedy drama Never Have I Ever. She has a fierce dream of winning an Oscar someday. These are students at the Berkshire Hills Music Academy in Western Massachusetts, a school that I've been privileged to visit and spend time at. The school only accepts older teens and young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities and spends a considerable portion of the curriculum teaching and training students to use their inborn musical gifts and interests to serve the community and to help realize their own potentials. Advocacy is another important area where people with intellectual disabilities can support each other and can go to the community to argue for the need for tolerance and for acceptance and for inclusion. Karen Gaffney is the president of the Karen Gaffney Foundation, a nonprofit organization headquartered in Portland, Oregon, dedicated to championing the journey to full inclusion for people with Down syndrome and other disabilities. She became the first person with Down syndrome to complete a relay swim of the English Channel in 2001. But there are many other people with intellectual disabilities who are working at the local level with their local chapters of the Down Syndrome Society or Institute, and they're making very good progress in terms of convincing people of the worthiness of hiring people with Down syndrome and of giving them more dignity and respect. There's also jobs open in the building industry. Todd Scanlon here is set to become the first person with Down syndrome in the United Kingdom to work as a fully qualified scaffolder for the building industry. He also won a public vote to be named the UK's top apprentice, thanks to his boundless energy and his commitment. And then finally, there's post-secondary education. Even a few years ago, it used to be thought that people with Down syndrome couldn't do anything after high school, that they weren't smart enough, and there were no opportunities because other people believed that. But we're seeing again a tsunami of new individuals with intellectual disabilities going into post-secondary education. There's over 300 post-secondary programs for people with developmental and intellectual disabilities in the United States alone. In 2022, Charlotte Woodward and Madison Essig were only the 5th and 6th students with Down syndrome to graduate from a 4-year institution, George Mason University, with a bachelor's degree. And Ana Victoria Espino, a 25-year-old Mexican woman with Down syndrome who earned her law degree in Zacatecas, Mexico, is believed to be the first lawyer in the world with Down syndrome. So they're really breaking our expectations, and that's a very good thing. I want to finish up by reading something that Lily D. Moore has given us that I think is particularly poignant. She says, "We all have something that makes us different, but those differences should be celebrated and not looked down on. I feel like people feel sorry for us and pity us. Stop it. See us for who we are, people just like you. Sit with us at lunch and ask us questions. You will find that we like the same things. Invite us to your house or party. You will have a best friend, a ride or die for life. Take us shopping. We can pick out fabulous outfits. Ultimately, we want meaningful friendships, romantic relationships, and to contribute to society by working and living independently." Very good words from Lily D. Moore. That's a little bit about my chapter in The Power of Neurodiversity relating to intellectual disabilities. You see that we have gone a long way and we have much farther to go in our recognition of the value of the lives of individuals with intellectual disabilities. I've developed a neurodiversity strengths checklist that is included in my book, The Power of Neurodiversity. And you can get it. It consists of 200 items, all related to strengths and assets and abilities. And I developed this because I thought, a lot of neurodivergent people have spent years in school taking tests that have told them what they're not good at. Let's develop a test or an assessment that will tell them what they are good at. You can receive a copy of my neurodiversity strengths checklist by going to my website, which is www.institute4learning.com. That's institute4learning.com, and enter your email address here on my home page or my blog page. It's on either one, and you will receive that 200 item strengths checklist. Thanks again for watching and for listening. I hope that the information was useful to you and that you will do your part to breed tolerance and acceptance and inclusion for people with neurodivergencies everywhere. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.